All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. This is our weekly gambling segment, joined once again by Hitch and the winner of bets, Chad Flowers, just like they join me every single week. Before we get into our recaps and all of that stuff, this is a big day in our nation's history now, 23 years later. We are sitting here on 9/11. I would be remorse if I didn't give a shout out to all of the first responders and people affected that day 23 years ago. I know I can speak for myself and more than likely Hitch and Chad when I say that we remember exactly where we were when we first heard the news when all that was going down. And more than anything, I hope Osama bin Laden is just rotten and burning in hell for the rest of eternity because he deserves it more than anybody. So, thinking of everybody that got affected that day, and more than anything, I'm glad you're in hell, bin Laden. Hey guys, how are y'all doing today?
Doing very well. Thank you for that introduction.
You're very welcome.
I
Had to
like
get that one off
following.
the chest.
Yeah, I like to follow. I'd like to follow Osama bin Laden whenever I can do something on tape or something. So that's great.
I'd
Yeah,
love for you
that's
to
right.
follow him and never mind.
All right, guys. Well, kind of looking back at last week's picks.
Yeah.
Before I get into Hitch's golden sombrero here, he did go 0-4, but I will say that he was a very honest man about it because I initially had him 1-3, and he texted me and said, "Man, that's not right. I'm positive I went 0-4." Went back, double checked it, and he did. So he does get some points for being honest about losing all four of his bets, though. So after a hot start,
Well,
like I said, he went 0-4, dropped him to 3-5 overall. Still in the positive
Man.
on the year, though, Hitch. You got plus zero point 0.7 units. I'm Mr. Consistent over here, going 2-2 once again for minus zero point 0.1 unit. Brings my overall total to 4-4, minus 0.33 units. And Chad over there just winning all the bets again, just like the name says. Went
What?
3-1 plus 2.5 units. Overall,
Man.
6-2 plus 5 on the year.
Man, it's great. That's good stuff, guys. I really appreciate
yeah.
that.
Look.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. 0-4 is very, very bad. I don't know that I did that all of last year.
I did.
And hey, it's going to happen. I'm not in full panic mode, fade mode yet. Look, but when you look at some of those games, right? Oklahoma State, Arkansas under. That game that under looked really good. They scored 28 points with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter to bust that one.
Yeah.
Right. The over that I had, Nevada, Georgia Southern, scored 31 in the first half. They needed 58. They scored 6 in the second half. I don't know what Oregon did. I don't know what happened with that one. That was just a plum miss
That was
right
bad.
there.
That was real bad.
Disaster.
But there were a couple games there that I feel like, I'm not going to call them bad beats, but maybe could have gone my way and we maybe have a different conversation. But I will take the golden sombrero graciously because I earned it.
And I will be getting it this week, I'm sure.
Speaking of that Arkansas and Oklahoma State game, felt like I was on the right side of that money line all game, literally until the last couple minutes of it, right? That would have been a big one for me, but that's how it goes. You win some, you lose some. Some are heartbreakers and some are blowouts. That was just a heartbreaker. So
Chad,
it sucks.
Chad, you want to bitch about your one loss?
No, it was. I was pretty much on the wrong side of that one. Yeah,
I just want to give you that opportunity.
Yeah.
The Roadrunners didn't show up.
No, I forgot that was yours.
Yeah, that was one that you just don't even have to keep checking it, right? Those are the best ones. I don't have to worry about it.
It is.
Into the first quarter, I'm like, all right, that's going to be the old L, and we will move on. So those are the best ones, in my opinion.
Yeah. Win or lose, just don't make me sweat it one way or another,
Yeah.
right? And that was one of those.
We move on.
The jump. So, yeah. So, speaking of moving on, we're going to go ahead and start diving in to our week 3 picks here. Pretty good slate of games going into week 3 here. Get some SEC matchups going. Conference games are starting to get played a little bit. Some rivalry games going on across the nation as well that are pretty interesting, I think. So we'll go ahead and get it started. I will start this thing off, and I'm starting in Columbia, South Carolina at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. Really liked what I saw out of South Carolina last weekend. Thought they played really well. North Sellers seemed like he was coming around a little bit. Obviously, things he's got to clean up if he's going to be really successful in this league. But you see why people are so excited about him, though. The talent's obviously there. He's incredibly athletic. As me and Hitch have talked about several times throughout the offseason, talking about Ole Miss football, playing in Columbia, South Carolina is incredibly difficult, right? So LSU, they've been sluggish this year, right? They lost to USC to open the year. Garrett Nussmeier gets knocked out of the game, comes back against Nichols. They finally pull away in the second half. But they weren't really clicking on all cylinders that game either. Now they've got to go on the road and play an early game against a team that already has an SEC win under their belt, went on the road to Lexington, beat Kentucky last weekend. There's some momentum going in South Carolina, and you're going to give me a full touchdown with the home underdog. That's going to be my play. South Carolina +7. Last week, I did a lot of road dogs. This week, you're going to see the exact opposite. I've got a lot of home underdogs here this week. This being my first one, South Carolina +7.
Yeah, I saw that and I was a little shocked. I initially wanted to get on South Carolina at 7. I had the opportunity to get them on at 7.5. I really want to get one more look at LSU's offense. Right, they've played one game against USC. Obviously, Nichols, FCS opponent. The line's just weird to me. Right, I don't know how good Kentucky is. But no, I understand. I initially really wanted to get on South Carolina myself. I just couldn't pull the trigger.
Same. Yeah, same. The more I looked at it, I started looking at like trends and stuff, and what kept me away was the bowl game last year. LSU lost against the spread. The first game against USC lost against the spread. Last week they didn't cover the spread. And they have never gone like 4 straight games and not cover the spread as a favorite. Sorry, I need to put that qualifier in there, as a favorite, not cover the spread like that. So, and that may be a stupid thing, but sometimes I look at that and it does make sense. So, also I think Brian Kelly is good against the spread on the road. Maybe I read that.
This is a really good spot for him.
But these are like trend things that kept me away from it, not like actual, on the field stuff. Because I mean, I looked at it the same way y'all did and thought, oh, I'm probably going to be on that one.
Yeah,
and it's an interesting matchup because the strengths line up with each team as well. You've got the LSU offensive line, which is one of the better ones in the league, going up against a Kentucky defensive line that has really performed well so far this season and dating back to last year. They've got a really young edge rusher. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. That's really played well so far. Then you have the LSU passing offense. Do what?
Jadeveon Clowney.
No, that's not him. And that's not right, Hitch. But then you get the LSU passing offense that is obviously dynamic. They sling it around. But that secondary for South Carolina is really good as well. So they match up strength on strength, weakness on weakness. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. But if you're going to give me a touchdown with the home team, I'm going to take it. And if I lose, I lose.
Yeah, it's South Carolina's offense, right? That's the question mark in all of this. If the Old Dominion team shows up, then I think LSU wins pretty handily. And then obviously if they have a Kentucky performance, then it looks like you're going to win a bet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
You got to look at it too. I don't know. I just thought this is a big game for Shane Beamer, right? Like as well, because if he could, beat LSU as a touchdown underdog, at home, you kind of forget maybe a little that performance against Old Dominion a little bit as fans. And so, you got to think he's going to be all out trying to win, not only cover the spread, but win the game. I think they probably believe that they have a shot of winning.
Yeah. It's a big game for both coaches here. Both of them have a lot to play for. Brian Kelly doesn't want to start out 1-2, 0-1 in the SEC with this schedule coming up as well. So it's going to be a fascinating game. I'm going to be locked into that come 11 o'clock on Saturday. But we'll go ahead and move on. Hitch, what's your first pick for week 3?
Man, I love the UNLV Running Rebels. Like I really liked it when I saw it. They especially after that performance Kansas had against Illinois. And then you calm down a little bit and you start thinking, well, maybe I'm not ready to throw Jalen Daniels away after 4 picks and just an awful game. And 2, shame on us for neither one of us 3 being on that Illinois game. As I'm thinking about it, shame on us.
Yeah, I
know. But these 2 teams matched up last year in the bowl game, and the over on that one was 66. Right, they scored 85, 49-36. You had Jason Bean throwing the ball all over the field, and the kid for UNLV had like 300 yards passing, 8 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns. They're just throwing the ball everywhere. And so when you see that, I look at it and go, oh, well, I'm definitely getting on this over. And then I remembered that this UNLV offense is going to looks a lot different than it did last year, right? Yeah. You've got the transfer in from Holy Cross, who has thrown the ball a total of 30 times this year. He is 14 for 30 on the year, and 14 of those have gone to their big play target, Ricky White III. And so also on the other side, Jalen Daniels is not Jason Bean. He's more of a running guy. So I think we're going to chew some clock here. I think that you may be getting a bargain on this total because people remembering that game last year and how these offenses, can go. Both can be explosive, but I think the UNLV defense is going to be enough to shut them down. Also, I will be on UNLV +7 and maybe the money line, but my pick here is under 58.5.
Yeah. I looked at that game as well. I'm still a week out, I think, from just needing a little bit more information on these teams, right? The transfer portal effect, all of that stuff. I liked Kansas too, but UNLV has had such a big turnaround. Barry Odom has a pretty solid team going right there, and I don't know what to do with Kansas yet, especially considering what they looked like against Illinois last week.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Chad. Barry Odom's done an incredible job at UNLV since he's taken over there, and I just don't know what to make of Kansas, just like you said. But as far as this under goes, you make a lot of sense with that hitch, digging into the stats on it a little bit instead of just looking at the surface, because on the surface 58.5 looks like an absolute bargain for the over, knowing what you've seen out of UNLV in Kansas for the past 1-2 years or whatever. But they're going to keep it on the ground, they're going to grind the clock. If they're able to make tackles, not miss assignments, this could be a pretty good number for the under because of the running clock, like you said.
Yeah, and I mean, against Houston, they ran the ball 48 times and threw the ball 14 times. Against Utah Tech, they ran the ball 63 times. And so the quarterback isn't throwing the ball. Now, the one thing I will say that we have to look out for in this game is in both games, there has been a pass attempt and a pass completion for 40-plus yards from someone who is not the quarterback, right? It is a receiver or a running back. So if there's one thing that does worry me here, it is a trick play that, may get a big gain or something and kind of put us in a bad position with that under. But other than that, I think we'll be okay with the under here.
Yeah, I think you're good there. All right, Chad, what you got first, bud?
All right, so I'm going to go with Miami of Ohio +3.5 at home against Cincinnati -115. So Cincinnati had a demoralizing loss last week against Pitt. They should have won the game, and Pitt comes back and wins the game. Miami of Ohio, they played Northwestern tough in the first week. It's not going to be a pretty game with Miami of Ohio, but you're going to give me more than a field goal at home. I think, and this is a rivalry game, not a rivalry game that a lot of people know about. It's probably going to be more of a rivalry game on the Miami side than it is Cincinnati. Just that little angle that I like. So I'll take the Red Hawks +3.5 at home.
Yeah, I looked at this one too.
Yeah, I looked at as well. I like Miami, as you said, because it is a home team. They are viewed as the lesser team, right? A G5 type team against Cincinnati that's now in the Power 4 in the Big 12. These are always interesting games when that underdog is the home team when the lesser team is the home team. So with getting 3.5 there, that getting pushed above a field goal, I think that's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, that was the main thing. That hook really invited me to take it, and obviously that can change, but yeah, I like it at the number I got.
Yeah, I like it too.
Good deal.
Yeah,
All right, I'll go on.
That game you're talking about last week with the Pitt Cincinnati game, that was, I watched that comeback, and it was pretty demoralizing for Cincy, and so.
And they didn't have a good end of the last season either, right? So you've got to wonder about that locker room and even the tenure of Satterfield as coach. It does not have good vibes in Cincinnati right now.
It doesn't. No, especially after last year too. On top of that, so I'm going to go ahead and piggyback this narrative that you just played with Miami of Ohio and Cincinnati, but I'm going to go out west, a little bit north of you, Chad. We have the Civil War happening in Oregon this weekend. And do you not think Oregon State is going to be pissed and really wanting this game against Oregon, who hasn't played very well so far this year? Really struggled with Boise, getting gashed defensively in the run game. You don't think Oregon State wants to line up and run it down their throat? That's kind of been their identity for years. I know new head coach and all that, but they've played pretty well so far this year. And they are getting 16 points, more than 2 touchdowns at home against a team that hasn't played very well, that left them high and dry. Them and Washington State, only 2 left in the Pac-12, and they go running off of greener pastures. So they've been left for dead, but they get the Ducks back in Corvallis this weekend, and you're going to disrespect them and give them more than 2 touchdowns, and you can't stop the run. Give me the Beavers.
How much was it? What was it?
Plus 16.
Yeah, I want to think of ways to take Oregon because I think I really like Oregon State in the first half. Don't know how that second half goes, but I can't think of a play where I would be like, yeah, Oregon's the play there, because you're right. They've looked terrible against – Boise State's good. Boise State has a really good dynamic rushing offense, right? We'll see if Oregon State's good or not, right? They've played San Diego State, and then I forget who they played the first week, if they even played anybody. But yeah, I can't see a reason to doubt that play, because the angle for emotion is all there for the Beavers. They're going to be rocketing Corvallis,
and it's just too many points.
It's way
not saying they're going to win outright,
right? Yep.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, and more on that. Probably San Diego State, Oregon State game, probably a little bit later. Got some points on it. But I think you're 100% right. I was shocked that Oregon let Ashton Jeanty do what he did, not because of his ability to do that, or even Boise State's ability to block for him. I just thought Oregon would game plan that somebody else is going to beat us. And maybe they did, and he's just that good. I don't know. But yeah, that was a shocking thing. And you got to think, I'm with you, man. Over 2 touchdowns at home, I'm probably just default on Oregon State without even looking at anything. So it's a good pick.
Yeah. All right, it's what you got next, bud.
Yeah. So I like San Diego State plus 19 at Cal. I think this is a big letdown spot for Cal. And I know that it's a little narrative-y, whatever, how you want to say that word, but Cal beat Auburn last week. I don't know if many people expected that. Obviously, they didn't, because Cal was a 2-touchdown dog. So I mean, it was a shocking win, but I think maybe people are realizing, well, Auburn probably maybe wasn't that good to begin with. Maybe we don't know. But I haven't watched Auburn play personally. I've watched San Diego State play, and I think they are better than what I think Auburn is after, seeing the stats on that Cal game. San Diego State lost 21-0 to Oregon State last week, but in the first half, it was 7-0. That San Diego State defense played very well, kept Oregon State out of the end zone, except for that one time. Second possession in the second half, they fumble at the goal line going in, which would have made it 7-7 late in the third quarter, which completely flips that game. And so you may be talking about San Diego State beating Oregon State. Who knows? I think Cal will probably struggle to move the ball against that defense, and they won't have the luxury of 4 Peyton Thorne interceptions either, because San Diego State takes care of the ball pretty well. I don't know. I'm like you did. I know that San Diego State's on the road here. I don't think that they go in and win the game. I think they possibly could, but I think they definitely keep it within the 19 points. So give me San Diego State plus 19.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of great points you just brought up there with the letdown spot here for Cal, right? They go across country, basically pull off this, what people viewed at the time as a big upset. I'm starting to think that Auburn might be one of the possibly 2 or 3 worst teams in the SEC with their current quarterback situation. Maybe they have a guy back there that they're going to give a shot, and Hugh's able to turn things around. With him at quarterback, I don't think they're very good. I don't think they're going to win a whole lot of games, but they're probably feeling good about themselves in Cal right now, right? And then you get San Diego State coming in, again, on the road, 19 points. That's a ton of points in a classic letdown spot. So for that reason alone, I like it.
Yeah. I like that too. That's I've got a kind of on the flip side of that. My next pick is I like Auburn plus 28 against New Mexico.
Okay. I like this
New Mexico,
too, yeah.
New Mexico stinks. Their defense is terrible. Auburn, they've got to right the ship real quick. And I think Hugh Freeze is going to try to put up every point he can, considering what happened last week against Cal. It's another narrative-y type pick, but New Mexico, they lost to Montana State, good really good FCS team, and they just gave up 60-something points to Arizona. They're good, they got weapons, but I'll take Auburn minus 28, minus 110.
Okay. On this one here, I think I will actually disagree with you on this pick here. I don't mind New Mexico in this spot because they did show that they could put up points again against a bad Arizona team, albeit. Now, look, New Mexico isn't good, but Hugh Freeze even said in some of his press availabilities this week, as far as I've seen, he hasn't committed to a certain quarterback going into Saturday. What he did say was that they were really going to condense the offense here, right? They weren't going to go deep into the playbook, and that tells me that they're going to try to keep this thing on the ground, keep this clock running. I don't think Auburn has any trouble winning this game. I just don't think that it's going to be as fast-paced and high-flying enough for them to cover 4 touchdowns, because I do think New Mexico can get, at least 10 points on the board, 7 to 10 points. And if they do that, then you're talking about Auburn having to get up to 38 to 43, whatever it is, If they're going to run a condensed style of this Hugh Freeze offense, especially if they do switch quarterbacks and go with the freshman, then I think that could be difficult, but could be totally wrong. And that may be a little bit of me really rooting for it to happen too, because I would love to see the meltdown if New Mexico was able to actually make this a game going into the third or fourth quarter.
100%. Nothing would make me happier than to see that. I just now, one other point about New Mexico, they are coming off a bye. So in Bronco Mendenhall, he's a good coach, has a chance to get 2 weeks to prepare. So that's not a great thing in the for my pick, but I do think that Auburn is going to have to right the ship really damn quick with SEC play coming.
This is a must-get-right game for them.
Yes.
And it can't be a 28-13 riding the ship.
Right? No, it cannot be. No. This has to be a going away win.
Yep, that's right. So, all right, well, my third pick for week 3, I'm going down to the swamp. I'm going to take another home SEC dog. The Florida Gators are hosting the Texas A&M Aggies. Really liked what Florida did last week. DJ Lagway, understand that they played Samford. Not a really good team, but the kid is really good. He's really athletic. I think he's a lot better than Graham Mertz and gives them a lot more options there on offense. Again, as of today, there has not been any clarification on who is starting that game for Florida. Billy Napier was asked about it. All he said was it was a good problem to have two really good quarterbacks. No shit, Billy. You need to pick one, though, right? But one thing that I do like about Florida's chances here is they have been beaten so far through the air. That's how Miami beat them. Even in that game, with the Hurricanes, their rush defense was really, really good, right? They were really good at stopping the run, but Cam Ward and those receivers are just too much out wide, and they beat them on the back end over and over and over again. I'm not convinced Texas A&M can do that. I came into the year thinking Connor Wegman was a really good quarterback after what I saw after his freshman year. Now I'm not too convinced after seeing what happened against Notre Dame in week one. And then you look against McNeese State. He only had 125 yards passing against McNeese State last weekend as well. They're going to try to run the ball. Le'Veon Moss, really good back. But if Florida can zero in on him, limit the running game, and make Connor Wegman beat them, I think 4.5 points is way too many on the road down there in Gainesville. So I'm going to ride with Billy Napier and the Gators and give them a shot to pull off an upset as a home dog.
I like that. How good who is Texas A&M to be getting 4.5 points or laying 4.5 points on the road in a tough place to play against Florida? Now, when you consider they lost to Notre Dame, who just lost to a 4-touchdown underdog at home in Northern Illinois. That offense is not inspiring. Florida still has athletes. Texas A&M is going to be better coached, you would think. But I don't know how you can give Texas A&M that many points in Gainesville.
My question to Billy Napier is, who is the second good quarterback?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes,
too.
That is the question. Because there's one that I think is really good, even though he's only played one game so far in his career.
Yeah, agreed.
There's
a reason Graham Mertz. Yeah, Graham Mertz he's hand the ball off kind of quarterback.
He's really average. He's really average. He's going to go in there. He's going to protect the ball, but he's not going to go win games for you. He's more than likely not going to lose them by giving the ball to the other team, but he is not going to take you downfield time and time again and light up the scoreboard and win you football games. DJ Lagway can do that.
Yep.
I like the flip you have here, Dids, of from A&M to Florida, right? After seeing what's going on.
It's the eye test, man. Got to have the eye test.
I looked at this one too. I liked this one. I like this one for just on the money line. Actually, I like Florida to win the game. I don't think Texas A&M travels to the swamp and covers more than a field goal or what. I don't think they cover at all, much less than 3 points.
Yeah.
So, all right, Hitch, what's your third and final pick before we get to our plus money?
Let's see. I pulled it up while ago. Indiana has not been a road favorite since 2021, and that was against Western Kentucky. So if you take that one out, and then you take out COVID, right, it's been 2019 against Purdue since they were a road favorite. And I cannot get Deshaun Foster's press conference out of my head when he was introducing UCLA to the Big Ten. And I just think that he wants to implement a running offense, a run-heavy offense. But against Hawaii, this is what happened with that heavy offense in Hawaii. They had 6 tackle for losses and stuffed nearly half of the UCLA rushing attempts. So they currently rank near dead last in the stuff rate, rush success, and finishing drives. That's after 1 week against Hawaii and a bye week. So I think Indiana is going to bring, a top 10 defensive havoc rank into this game. I think they're probably going to cause some turnovers. They get a lot of tackles for loss. If Hawaii had 6, Indiana's probably going to have double that. On the offensive side, Curtis Rourke, he's good. I don't know if he goes and wins you games like you were talking about, Dids, but I think he's a reliable offense. He has not attempted a ball that's been batted yet, so he brings a top 25 completion ratio into this game, and I think they do enough to beat Indiana and cover this 3 on the road. Beat UCLA in UCLA's Big Ten conference opener, right? So
yep,
I think that is probably. I don't like that side of it. You think UCLA is going to be fired up and want to come in? I can tell by the look on Chad's face that his next pick is going to be UCLA +3.
No, I wanted to take them.
24-13. I'm thinking 24-13 score. Indiana wins this one. I think they win convincingly, and I don't think it's a sweat, but I also don't think it's a blowout.
No,
so
I wanted
+3 or -3?
-3. Sorry, -3. Yeah, that stroke I had there trying to read near dead last, I think it kind of threw me off when it.
I looked for reasons because on the surface it's like either Indiana is going to blow this out or I could not find a reason to bet UCLA because I wanted to. So I had to end up siding with Indiana as well. Yeah. I think it's my last play, right?
It is.
I'm taking a total over 62, Oklahoma State and Tulsa. Tulsa can put up points. They've got a pretty yards per play has been real good so far for Tulsa this season. Oklahoma State's offense is that score that they put up last week is a little misleading. Their offense is not as dynamic as it has been in the past. But I still think that this is going to be a shootout. Oklahoma State may have a little bit of a hangover coming off of Arkansas. It's at Tulsa, so you've got to think that a rivalry game, they're going to be fired up, ready to go, best foot forward, all that good narrative-y type stuff. So, over 62 -110.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And Oklahoma State, kind of like you said, they're going to want to bounce back right here, right? Kind of let down a little bit against Arkansas, still able to get the win. But I do think these are offenses that can put points on the board. So 62, that seems low enough for that to hit.
And Tulsa is either going to score, or they're going to throw, or they're going to turn it over, right? They are very turnover prone, and that's always going to help an over as well.
Yep, makes a ton of sense. You got anything to add to that one, Hitch?
Nope. I like it.
Didn't think so. All right, then we're going to go ahead and move on to our plus money plays. I usually do a money line pick here, and that's what I'm going to do right now as well. I've got North Texas plus 300 on the money line going into Lubbock and beating the Red Raiders outright. Texas Tech, they in week 1 beat Abilene Christian, but they have to go to overtime to beat them 52-51, right? Barely squeaked by the FCS school there. And then they go to Pullman and play Washington State last week and just get beat like a drum 37-16. This North Texas team, they're a team that can really throw it around and put points up on you in a hurry. I think I saw where their quarterbacks like 2nd or 3rd in the country in passing yards so far this year. They've done a really good job putting points up there, averaging 43.5 points per game. They're giving up 29. But again, with the way that they're able to throw things around, Texas Tech kind of reeling a little bit. And I know it's on the road. It's the road dog. That's why you get such a big number with it. But if Texas Tech struggled that much with Abilene Christian at home, then they're really going to struggle with a pretty good North Texas team coming into Lubbock here. So if you're going to give me 3-1 odds, just go ahead and give me the Mean Green outright on this one.
Yeah, I think this is either Texas Tech season is going to be defined probably by this game, right? They're either going to you can see it really going downhill with the loss this week. So in North Texas, you're right, they're scrappy.
Yeah, or it could catapult North Texas into that category of competing for that G5 spot, right? Because they will have that road Power 4 win on their resume going forward as well. So it's a really big game for them too.
Absolutely. All right, Hitch, what you got?
All right, me, I'm going to do a 3-game, let's see. Yeah, they're all home dogs parlay. Texas State.
Oh, wow.
At plus 105, TCU at plus 118, and Florida at plus 145. So it's a 3-game home dog. They were all, fairly small home dogs. Texas State they're right in there with Georgia Southern, Boise, UNT, all of these teams we want to talk about. They're very good. They can beat Arizona State at home. They're going to be up for playing that. Just the same thing Diz just said is that would be a big Power 4 win against a team. Florida, we already talked about them. I think that they probably win this game. I was surprised that it was more than 3 points. And then TCU, they just fell in my lap there at plus 118. It was a short dog at home. So plus 995 is the payout.
Yeah, a lot of those
plus
are
995.
Yeah, you've got coin flips, right? Basic coin flips with
right.
plus money. Yeah, I mean, I think you can make a case for any of those teams in any of those matchups winning. So yeah, I think that's for a plus money play, that's really good. Yeah. I actually don't have a plus money play this week. I didn't love anything, and so I'm just going to do a straight pick. And I just wanted to have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to go the narrative route again. Give me Southern Miss plus 11.5, minus 110 against South Florida. Hattiesburg at night. South Florida's coming off of a game that you argue they could have won against Alabama. They had their chances. Now you got to go to Hattiesburg, and you got to get up for that. And I'm going to I would obviously like it closer to 14, but I do get over 10. So yeah, Southern Miss plus 11.5. That's my my fourth pick of the week.
Yeah, I love that spot too, because it doesn't matter that the score was 40, 50, whatever.
No,
60, like that doesn't matter. They were gutted, right? Like,
had
to have been. And so now you have to go to Southern Miss, worse facility, like probably bad, worse facilities than you were in. Probably all these things that are just a downgrade from where you were traveling from. And it's going to be a smaller stadium, less fans, right? And that you're coming from this huge high down. It's such a good spot for Southern. I mean, hell, this isn't a bad plus money play in my opinion.
You could make that argument too.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we get out of here, let's go over a few of the games that didn't quite make the list for us. Hitch, you brought up that UNLV game earlier. That's one that I actually had down. I had UNLV plus 7 as one of the games that didn't quite make the cut, but I do really like that game. I'm keeping my eye on Tulane at Oklahoma. It's at 13.5 right now. If I can get that other half point, get it to 14. Oklahoma's really struggling to score. Their offensive line has been bad. They lost another offensive lineman for the year this past weekend, so they will have they'll have to incorporate a new lineman there on a unit that's already been bad. Tulane's look pretty good this year. So again, keep my eye on it. If I get the other half point, I'm absolutely going to be on that one. Arizona going on the road, getting a touchdown in Manhattan against Kansas State. I look at this one just from the standpoint of Arizona can score on anybody. So do I trust Kansas State to be able to keep up with them enough or stop them enough to be able to score a touchdown? I'm not positive they're going to be able to do that. So I have that one written down. Sticking with the narrative stuff here, talk about Oregon State. Well, you got the Apple Cup this weekend too going on north of you, Wick. You got Washington State and Washington. This one's in Seattle. The Cougs are getting 4.5 points. I really like that spot for them too. I will probably end up being on it, but I am going to watch the line moving on that for a little bit. And then one that I really like because I think it's a team that has a lot to prove this weekend going up against a really, 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 really bad team. Arkansas minus 24.5 at home against
Yeah.
UAB. Arkansas is going to come out pissed. That offense looks really good. Mike Petrino's got them rolling. Taylor Green's playing at a really high level. And UAB just looks abysmal so far through the first couple of weeks of the season. Wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to come out and make a statement and really pop the Blazers. So those were the 5 that I had written down that I was looking at.
One that I did like Tulsa plus 19 against Oklahoma State, but I ended up getting on the over. I like Mississippi State and Toledo over 59.5. I think both teams are going to put up a lot of points. I don't know how good State's defense is, and I don't know if any of you watched the ending of the second half of Mississippi State and Arizona State. State's got some offensive players, right? You've got Levy now as their coach, so you know he's going to have at least something dialed up. They can put up points. They've got some speed, so I would expect a lot of points scored in that game in Starkville. Those are a few that I like
so far too.
They have. They've looked much better than I thought they would.
Yeah, 100%.
West Virginia. I almost got West Virginia and Pitt. West Virginia -2. Pitt, gave up, I think, over 200 yards rushing to that awful Cincinnati team we were talking about. Go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say, sorry. Keep going. I've got a different game that I wanted to mention.
Okay. West Virginia has 2 backs that are tops in the country when it comes to rushing. I think that's that would be a fun one, and I think West Virginia on the road, you may be getting a discount there. It's at -2 now. It was at 2.5 earlier, but it's at -2 because I just think that they're going to be able to run the ball with their quarterback and those 2 running backs and control the clock. And I think their defense will be. I think they cause some havoc on defense that will help them out as well. So I like them on the road at -2.
I agree with that. I also, the other game that I was going to mention is I think that Colorado State, it's either money line or you take the Buffs. I think that this is the first time they've played in Fort Collins in a long time. And the locker room does not feel very good right now in Boulder. You've got Shedeur Sanders talking about his offensive line. Colorado State is going to be physical. They're probably going to try to get some players ejected. They talked a lot of shit in Boulder last year, right? There's going to be a fight in that game. I would not be surprised at all if Colorado State won this game outright. But if they don't, I think Colorado beats the shit out of them.
Yeah, and this is another one I had written down because of the total. I think it's close to 60.
58.5 right now.
Yeah, and I think that's just too many points, right? Like I don't think that Colorado, that offensive line, they can't run the ball, and they can't protect Shedeur Sanders, and so they can't sustain any drives.
Now they don't want to protect him either after what he said last week. I'm sure.
Sure, right, but they have a hard time sustaining drives. On the other side of the ball, their secondary is one of the best in the country with Justin. I can't think of his name. Justin Hunter. Yeah.
Travis.
Travis Hunter. And the other, Deion's other kid, right? Shiloh. They're very good back there. So they're going to be able to, put a dome on that offense and be able to keep Colorado State. Because I know Norvell likes to run that air raid. It hasn't been very successful the past few years. But they do have some players on the outside that can make some plays, but I think that secondary for Colorado, I like this under. It almost made the list because, and also, Chad, what you said is I think that there's going to be physicality. I think that it's going to be a slow grog of a game. I think because there's going to be replays for targeting. There's going to be, and by the end of it, whoever's winning this game in the fourth quarter, they're going to be ready to get out of there, and they're going to start running the clock, getting out. I don't think it gets close to 60.
I like that actually, and I'm going to see if I can find a 59. I'll probably take that.
Yeah. And then also, I don't necessarily like either side of this, or even think about getting on it, but I think it deserves a conversation. Is Memphis and Florida State, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I had it. That's under a touchdown. That's kind of wild to look at. Like, even though you know it's coming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I
And
don't
then
really know what to do with it either because Memphis isn't going to be that kind of team that's going to line up and be really physical, run it down your throat like they faced against Georgia Tech and Boston College. It's going to be a completely different game that the Tigers throw at the Seminoles this week. So I'm staying away from that one completely.
And then, well, that leads me into the last one that I kind of jotted down here. Again, I don't know about this one. I just think it's interesting. Is your Missouri's going to be tested this week for the first time. We're going to kind of see. And I don't know that coming into this season, a lot of people would have thought that week 3 against Boston College at home, Missouri was going to would be Missouri's first test per se.
I'd love a 17.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, it's up over 2 touchdowns here. Is it like 16? And I mean,
16 and a half.
I don't know. That's a lot of points.
Missouri's
not this offense that's just going to go out and score 50, right? I
mean, under looks good too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, I like both of those.
And also with that, Luther Burden got nicked up a little bit last weekend too in Missouri's game. I'm sure he's going to play. Haven't heard otherwise, but how healthy is he? And if say Missouri jumps out to a pretty good sized lead, you get him out of there, right? And if you get him out of there, that offense really takes a hit. The under would be one of the plays that I would look at here, I think.
For sure.
But I don't mind the points. It's a lot of points.
But you also got to think, that kid from Boston College, a lot of his game is extending the play, running around and things like that. And Missouri's probably going to have that hemmed up, you would think or hope, a lot better than Florida State. And so that kind of plays into the under a little bit there. That probably less, game-breaking explosive plays against this Missouri defense.
I just locked in Kansas State -7. I'm going to play Kansas State. Okay. Yep.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Get on Arizona then.
That's right. Oh, I will now. I was on the fence beforehand, knowing that you're on Kansas State. As soon as we get off this here, I'm going and betting Arizona. I guarantee it. So
we'll have a good conversation next week then.
Today?
I don't. I'm good, man.
All right, take the Rebels -23.5. It just dropped, so it got under 24. Take the Rebels. They're going to dominate. That's the one that I will go with now. First half line. I don't know if the first half line is there, if they got one out or not. That would be an interesting one to look at, though. If you can get that thing around, anything under 14, that would be pretty enticing.
It's 13.5.
All right. Well, I'm either going to make or lose my mortgage here in a minute, guys. So I appreciate y'all tuning in once again this week. We will be back again next week, same time, to recap all of our bets. Maybe Hitch does a little bit better. Hopefully Chad does a little bit worse, and maybe I can surpass him a little bit one week. So, but I guarantee you the very first topic of conversation next weekend will be that Kansas State and Arizona game.
Sure will.
Battle between California, Chad, and Dids over here, and we'll see who comes out on top, guys. I really appreciate y'all's time. It's a lot of fun. Look forward to seeing y'all again next week.
Hey, boys.
All right.